Well, we're not going to Wembley. Our bottom lips have gone all trembly, but to compensate, the women were great. I think that just about sums up what's happened this week, doesn't it? Neil Williams is with me.
That was superb, Mark.
Oh, what can I? You appreciate poetry when you hear it. Fair play to you.
I do, especially with that, with St David's Day coming up as well. I expect something on Saturday as well, young man.
Absolutely. If I try quite hard, I could be the bard.
Oh,
Yeah. I got
well,
a
it is in Wrexham this year, they said, Rod. So there you go.
course, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got a sharp brain when it comes to a quatrain. Didn't quite fit in that, did it? Didn't scan, but the rhyme was solid. I'm Mark
Yeah.
Griffiths, by the way. Neil knows that, but you, dear listener or viewer, might not. And we're going to be chatting about, well, the men's team having a bit of a mixed time of it, frankly. Great result on Sunday, end of a cup run on Wednesday. We'll also talk about the absolutely superb win for Wrexham women at Swansea, which means we've pulled off the virtually impossible and got into the top half of the table for the second phase of the season. And we've got a word with Mike Salmon, goalkeeper from the late 80s for Wrexham. So, fasten your seatbelts, cats and kittens. This is Final Whistle Weekly. Well, Neil, Mansfield was good, but yeah, Peterborough less so, I think we'd have to say.
Yeah, Mansfield, I thought we were superb, Mark, on the road. I think dominated the game. It was one of the best, another one, great performance away. And unfortunately, it seems like the roles are reversed where we're playing really good football away from home. And
Yeah.
when we're playing at the Stoke Arse, which was a fortress, that doesn't seem the case anymore after three consecutive defeats at the racecourse at the moment. So, but yeah, Mansfield game we were superb, and Max Clue's goal was scored like a striker. Really, the accuracy and the power he put behind it, and he was, it wasn't like it was 6 yards, was he? He was on the edge of the penalty area. So yeah, superb goal by Clue, and a good all-round team performance. And I mean, you were there, Mark, and you watched the game, and it was a great game to watch.
Yeah, and he had a sighter in the first half, Clueless, didn't he, as well? So it wasn't a flash in the pan. It was a lovely strike by him to win it. And you also felt, we were in control. And if that goal hadn't come, we would have been able to step it up and get the goal at some point. It was a really good, dominant performance, which was very pleasing. But like you say, it's odd, isn't it? All of a sudden, it's the home form that is causing concern. That's really not something that we anticipated. I'm going to be pedantic and say that we drew against Peterborough, but
Oh, we
nonetheless,
did.
you're quite right. I mean, it's a big rotation. 8 players changed. We've got the squad to do that, and it's worked well for us in the Virtue Trophy. But on this occasion, maybe fundamental errors, didn't we, that cost us dear?
Yeah, I think the match changed for us when we actually made all the subs and brought the brought the subs on. I thought before that we were really looking quite solid, and Peterborough didn't really have a shout apart from that penalty, which I haven't watched the highlights yet. But I thought he was offside when the ball was played through to him. But there, there we go. But
Hmm.
yeah, am I hurt? With the Peterborough loss? No.
Yeah,
I was disappointed last night. A win would have been nice, but
yeah.
you know, we don't want to be too greedy and go to Wembley too many times, do we? I think Saturday's game against Bolton is far more important for our league
Hmm.
position with the Birmingham City playing Wickham on Saturday as well. So yeah, for me that's far more important.
Yeah, it's a massive game, isn't it? Although Bolton are doing well under Schumacher, change of manager
Yeah,
seems to have done the world of good. So that's going to be a tough match. But like you said, I mean, if Birmingham can dispatch Wickham, it would make the league table look fantastic, wouldn't it? So we've got to focus on that. What sort of teams are you going to pick, Neil? Is he going to go back roughly to the Mansfield team? Do you think?
I should imagine you'll start with Smith and Rodriguez up front, but
Mm.
I'd possibly like to start. You've got to have a tall guy and a shorter guy up front, because that's what we seem to be doing. So I don't know. I should imagine it'll be virtually the same starting 11 that we had, obviously without Cannon because he's out now, long term injured, isn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, I should imagine Dobson in midfield. Um, yeah, same old, apart from Canada, I would have thought.
Mm. It's interesting as well to see. I mean, Harry Ashfield's made a case, and
Oh,
Phil Parkson was talking about him showing that he can play in the
oh.
senior games. It seems a bit of a stretch maybe to expect him to be playing on Saturday, but nonetheless, do you think he'll
Yeah,
feature in the squads as we're going on now?
I would like to think so. Mark, he's got confidence, he's got skill,
Mm.
he's willing to take the opposition player on, and I was really impressed with him last night. He was a real standout player for me last night. But his ability on the ball was superb, absolutely
Mm.
superb. For a young lad, again, coming through the ranks, yeah, great. Got something great to look forward to with him. In a couple of years' time. But I would have no hesitation in starting him on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Another player I look at and I feel, I have a lot of sympathy for is Jack Marriott, who I feel since he's come back from injury, he's looked
Yeah,
sharp. He's made a lot of good runs. I don't know if we're quite getting the balls in for him. A couple of times yesterday, he nearly reached across and couldn't quite. Um, he also had that sort of quarter opportunity where he missed control, which Dobson then got on hold of and scored. But yeah, there's a bit of me wants to see Marriott get a bit of continuity.
yeah. I think going back to the Mansfield game, Mark, I thought with Revan there on the wing instead of
Mm,
McLean, I thought he was superb against
yeah.
Mansfield, and again he was happy to take on the opposition, and he put some great balls into the box.
Mm,
Unfortunately, nobody got onto him. We've got to go back to Cleworth also hit the bar at Mansfield as well.
yeah.
So yeah, I would start with Revan again. He looked absolutely superb there on the wing, and he's got pace as well, and he was whipping those balls in. So we've got to have good balls going into the box, and the strikers have got to be up there to get on the end of those balls, to put in the back of the net. Definitely on Saturday, because that's the thing we seem to be lacking doing. That's a big concern for me, Mark, is the lack of goals for our strikers.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it felt similar in a way, the Peterborough game to the Mansfield match, in that we weren't, they got at us a bit, but you didn't really feel that they were going to carve out really good chances, or indeed maybe take them if they did carve those out. Peterborough then suddenly did. Um, but yeah, the Mansfield game, like you say, we could we have scored more? I thought Smith played very well in the role of
Yes, he did.
disrupting
Yeah,
centre backs, and he looks sharp. He looks like goals will come. He's got one already, and he looks like he's got more in him. Rodriguez, I think there's plenty of good work off the ball. But I think he needed that goal, that glorious chance he had when he managed to pick out the defender on the line. Um, he needs that to go in
he needs to
just to
go.
really kickstart properly, doesn't he?
Yeah, he could have scored against Mansfield, but did he hit it straight to the keeper?
Mm.
So yeah, I think he needs a goal, and our strikers need to start scoring again. And look, as you say, Marriott doesn't look, although he's doing well off the ball, but he's not creating the chances or taking the chances he did earlier on in the season when he was on fire. Paul Mullins come back from injury from the summer, and he hasn't been half the player he was last season. Um, and even McLean was chipping with a few goals as well last season, and Lee, and yeah, they're midfielders or on the wingers, but they all seem to be coming from Cleworth at the moment, or the midfield.
Oh, to be fair to Lee, he's nearly in double figures and he's been out injured, hasn't he? I thought it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
good to see him and Mullin getting back off the bench, got good receptions from the crowd who appreciate them.
Oh, they did.
It
Yeah,
was nice to see that, but we just got to get them both up to speed. I've got a lot of sympathy for Mullin. I think I've said this before, I've now had two pre-seasons, missed.
yeah.
I
No
think
doubt.
it's really physically hard for him. And but whether he'll be able to contribute fully this season or whether it's he needs to get next pre-season in to properly be firing. He's got plenty still in the barrel. Mo Farl was fun, I thought, against Peterborough as well.
He was. For me, Mark, I don't think he did a lot until he scored his goal. Um, and a
That's what a
well
good
taken
striker
goal.
does, Neil.
Well taken goal it was. A great ball through by Cleworth, and time was run superbly, and I thought the keeper was going to get it, but he lofted him just enough to
Mm.
overtop him, and a great finish. And fair play to Farley, does get back and defend as well, but
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's just you see the energy with Mullin and you see the energy with Marriott, and I don't see that with Farl. Although he's still a young lad and he's got a lot to learn, and he's another player for the future. Um, yeah, I'm happy he scored a great goal last night, and I did get back and do some defending as well.
Yeah, I like the look of Fall. I think that, Parkinson said from the start about him being a work in progress, brought in to develop, and I think there's real signs of development throughout the course of the season. And remember, last season he scored a lot of goals in League Two.
Yeah,
So, I'm encouraged by him. Again, I wouldn't expect him to be jumping into the starting lineup in the league anytime soon, but he'll have his part to play rather at the end of this season. That's I reckon. Indeed, I think Ashfield will probably come in at some point, even if it's off the bench.
well,
But
we've got a lot of tough games coming up in March, haven't we, Mark? So
yeah.
there's some big games in March, and after that it's not so bad. But we've got the likes of Huddersfield, Reading, Stockport,
Mm.
and Bolton on Saturday. And at some point, I wouldn't mind seeing Smith and Mullin maybe start and see how they get
Yeah.
on as a pairing up front.
Mm. I think
Um,
that'd be interesting. That, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, there's lots of options that Parkinson has got on the with the squad that we've
Mm.
got, and I think the opposition have worked us out, and that's why we're struggling so much more now to create the chances we're creating and put them away early on in the season where we were scoring goals for fun. Opposition now close us down very quickly, give us very little time on the ball, press us all the time, and we've just got to find a way around that, Mark. And I don't know what your thoughts on how we can change that.
I I don't feel too concerned by it, if I'm totally honest, Neil. I feel like when we scored two in the cup game, we've got a couple in Mansfield. We're
Yeah,
making chances. I think Smith makes things happen. If not for him, then around him. I thought that the Northampton game was a really good example of that, how running in behind defences just disrupts them. Um, yeah, I don't feel too worried about that. If I'm honest, I think goals will come. Um,
yeah.
I think it's just a case of settling down now to getting a nice home win just to revert back to normal there. I think we're looking good. Certainly, Wickham have dropped more points than us recently, and I think we need to
Yeah.
just keep our heads,
Yeah.
keep going. I don't feel too worried myself.
No, Mark, I'm not worried at all, because I'm overjoyed at the position we're in,
Yeah.
and I had no idea we'd be in third position. And if anybody said that this time of year, the playoff will be good,
Mm,
for the team. But ideally, if they want to go up, I'm sure they're looking for automatic.
mm,
Um, yeah, we'll see what happens. As I
yeah.
say, there's a big squad there to pull players out from. And I say we've got Huddersfield away next Tuesday, another tough game. So I'm sure there will be a little bit of rotation
Mm.
with those two games in mind, with Bolton Saturday and then Huddersfield on the Tuesday.
And Huddersfield, of course, are in hideous form, so let's hope they can maintain that for another week at least. Um, they were breathing down our necks not long ago.
They
Um,
were, they were.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
we've
they've
also got
been
to remember one
powerful.
of the goals at Mansfield was a fantastic own goal. So
Yeah, they need powerful lungs to breathe down our necks at the moment, and hopefully we can make that even more the case next Tuesday. But yeah, I think it's more we're not keeping clean sheets at the moment, whereas we were hand over fist earlier in the season, and
mhm.
the goals we've let in have been a little bit disappointing. I know you could turn around and say all goals that are conceded are disappointing. You can do something about any goal, but the Mansfield one, the guy who finishes at McDonald's has got loads of space at the far post. I think they've kept the ball for a long time and dragged us around a bit, and we've lost our shape of touch, perhaps. The penalty, like you said, is it offside or not? I don't think it was. I think it was more we had a ragged line and we didn't step up properly and allowed him to run through. And then the second goal's, I think, from a defensive perspective, very poor. And you've got to defend a long ball hit towards the edge of the area, especially when the centre back that they've sent up front for those has for some reason dropped back into a centre back position again. And Peterborough's manager Ferguson's screaming at him to get up the pitch when they knock the long ball, and then they score from that. It's more that I don't like the nature of some of the goals we're letting in. I think that slightly concerns me, but well, it'll settle. It'll come. I'm still very happy. Gotta say.
Oh, yeah, I'm happy too, Mark. I'm happy with the performances. Maybe there's not the what's the word I'm looking for at the racecourse. I mean, it was fantastic watching them earlier on in the season.
Mm.
You know, they played such tidy football and scoring 2, 3, 4 goals. So the entertainment value, should we say, is not there as it was earlier on in the season, which a lot of fans are moaning about with, passing back, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we can't complain, Mark, can we, for being third in the league?
You can't get
Got 12
promoted
games
without
to go.
breaking eggs. That's what my gran always used to say.
What was that, sorry?
You can't get promoted without breaking eggs. She's not wrong.
Oh, that's a new one on me.
Yeah, I mean, we just jumped up 2 divisions. We've got a lot of players from 2 divisions lower who admittedly were brought in to do this job and get up the leagues, but I think it's inevitable that as time goes on, we'll find it more difficult to put goals past teams because we are playing better teams, aren't we?
Cool, yeah.
So up to this point in the season is all about setting the tone for the running, isn't it? In a way, we are right up there in contention, and if we can be hard nosed about the running and find some rhythm, then like we did last season, then I think we'll be laughing. I think there's danger in the running for Wickham because they've got. They had quite a bit of upheaval in January, and they brought some good players in. Don't get me wrong, but when they look with the going like that, they'd want stability surely rather than change. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I feel we're nicely placed myself.
Yeah, when you think, our couple of strikers have only been there just over a month as
Yeah,
well. They've got to settle in and bed in and see how the team plays. And yeah, so it's all new to them. And we did have the same, a little bit of a blip early last January, February, didn't we? So yeah, Mark, I'm not disappointed. I'm over
I
the
know.
moon with the position we are at the moment,
Well,
which most fans will be. When we think we watched the Ross that we've watched 3 or 4 years ago. So
yeah, yeah. Well, I know you're not. And I just think I'm pretty satisfied. Certainly, our dip last year was worse. Definitely, us four in the bounce, didn't we? And
we did.
oh, it was yeah, we could have lost it at that point and we didn't. And so yeah, I'm feeling good about things. Well, speaking about being in a good position, we'll move on now to a team in an exceptionally good position, the Wrexham women's team. Well, disappointment for the men, but what an historic day for the women's team. Incredibly, we did it. I remember about 4 weeks ago explaining the equation for us to be able to get there, and it
Yeah.
was essentially Swansea need to just blow it for 3 weeks continuously, and we need to find our best form of the season and win everything. And I genuinely, when I said it, I thought we could do this. I've been saying all along, haven't I? We're playing better than the results suggest. We did it. We actually did it. And that sweet moment that I predicted, the first time we got into the top four, our objective was when the final whistle blew in the last game of phase one. Oh, that is how sweet it is. Honestly, Neil, it was magnificent. I tell you.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about a 3 or 4 games back, Mark, but on paper it sounded easy, but mathematically, with Swansea, could they lose all their games? And you think, no, surely not.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when it turned out to be, Swansea Wrexham, which was supposed to be on Sunday, as we know,
Mm.
just after the men's game, and that got called off because of waterlogged pitch. And as we know from Mark, from you not being happy with the rearranged midweek, so short notice, just three days later, the women's team then had to travel back down to Swansea because I believe they'd already travelled down for the game on Sunday.
Yeah.
All of them, we've got to remember, they've all got full-time work, full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And you were not a happy bunny, were you, Mark, about how quickly the rearranged game had been made, and it had to be in the midweek on a Wednesday night, 8 o'clock kickoff, and it's not just around the corner; it's a good 3.5 hours down to Swansea, I would have thought. And you were not a happy bunny at all, Mark. I mean, I've never seen a rant come from you like that before on paper, Mark, but it worked. It worked. It obviously G'd those ladies up.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that influenced it at all. But because
They
my
might put on the
targets have
dressing
been
room
minutes.
wall, Mark. They printed it off and put it on the dressing room wall, and they're all ready for the game. That was their incentive. Mark Griffiths.
Well, as it was purely an attack on the Welsh FA and the Adran leagues, I don't know how that would motivate them unless they said, "Look how angry you can get. Imagine what he's like if you lose." Um, no, I just, I, it was absolute incompetence to force those games on this midweek. Really was. I can't get my head around the logic of it at all. And you know, part-time players having to go into their jobs on Monday morning and say, "Can I have tomorrow off as well? I want to play football."
Mm-hmm.
Come off it. I mean, absolutely ludicrous to be putting this on the players like that. And I, for a number of reasons, been concerned about the how well the Welsh FA is actually benefiting and developing women's football in Wales. And I've said that on this program on a number of occasions. I never realised it would come to the point where they're quite happy to sabotage their own top division just to get the games played. Um, and it's not as if I'm not suggesting reasonable answers. Why do you not schedule a couple of weeks gap between phase one and phase two in case this happens? 4 games last Sunday, only one of them was finished.
Yeah.
This is Wales in the winter. You might get bad weather. News alert. I mean, it's just crazy. Absolutely
Forgive me,
crazy.
Mark, forgive me for being ignorant. Is there a game this Saturday or Sunday then for the women's
Yeah.
team?
Yeah. So that
Well, there
again,
is. So phase two started then, yeah, this Sunday.
yes, which again, like I said, is the issue, isn't it? I mean, they should have just said, okay, let's shift the games to Sunday. Shift the games back a week.
Yeah,
There should have been an extra week, and if they hadn't legislated for bad weather in Wales in the winter, then they really should have grasped the nettle last week and said, right, okay, phase one starts a week later. And, I mean, even if that means you've got to have a midweek round, at least if it's planned weeks in advance and we're told, right, we're going to have to go back and then we're going to have to play a midweek, at least you can make those requests for time off earlier. You could even attempt, or I mean, it wouldn't be easy because the way the table is split now, there'd have to be some winners and losers, but you could attempt to put the more local games on in that midweek round.
correct.
Um, I don't think anybody would object to that. So, there's just so many practical answers that would have been better than what they did. But thankfully, let's get back to the footy. They delivered magnificently, and I sort of feel my view of football is always like, oh, I want people to see it in terms of tactics and in terms of how things are achieved, by organization and by technique. But sometimes you just got to say that while all of that's true, guts comes into it. And this is a team that when they drew at the Cardiff Met 4 league games ago, you thought, oh, we've blown it. We have absolutely blown it. You don't drop points to them. And Swansea, then they were in that situation of they're going to have to just completely fall to pieces and we're going to have to be perfect.
Yeah,
And it would have been very easy to give up, not least because it's dispiriting to play well and not get the rewards you deserve. It's dispiriting to keep trying to do the right things and it not work. But that team was not dispirited. And, fans talk about wanting to fight for the shirt and being proud to represent your club. Well, and get down to the Rock and watch them then, because I tell you what, you won't see anything better than that. And then that game as well. The pitch is not good. Um, that suits Swansea. We saw what we did to them on an artificial surface where the ball runs nicely. We beat them 5-0 and it could have been more. On this pitch, it was different. Swansea are big and physical, and Liv Fuller, who was a superb player, is out injured because of a Swansea player's challenge. Um, Other players like Lily Jones got knocked around a lot. She had to come off, and Amber Lightfoot had to come off. And there was a very physical game. The surface didn't allow it to be smooth. And first 25 minutes, there was very little football played, and we were under a lot of pressure, but we dealt with it. Started getting decent service to the strikers, and then score, they equalise, score, they equalise, and we
Yeah.
just won't give up. It's the sort of thing that could break you, isn't it? We keep doing
Oh,
it,
it is,
they
Mark.
keep
Yeah.
coming back
You know,
at us.
it
Yeah,
was tough enough to go down to Swansea itself, wasn't it? I
yeah.
mean, that was Sunday. It was tough enough going down there, knowing you needed to win. A draw
Mm.
was no good, so you had to win, and
Yeah,
then to have to go back down there on the Wednesday, to go ahead and then equalise, go ahead and
yeah.
equalise. Quite demoralising, but fair play to the girls. They
Mm.
stuck in there. As you say, they've got the guts.
Yeah,
They wear their heart on their sleeves, and
yeah.
they dug out a winner right in the last minute, I believe, Mark.
That's right. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, Neil, that when they got their equaliser, there was over half an hour left. I don't think they would be able to really defend themselves if they were accused of over celebrating that goal. They were acting like it was the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and after that, right, there was a lot of time wasting. There was a lot of, how can I put this? A certain type of housery. Um,
Hosiery or housery, Mark?
well, I'll leave that to your imagination. And I genuinely think that our players who were really desperate to get a result were
Yeah,
getting wound up by it. Um,
yeah. And I
the
get
ref,
that gave them that extra resilience, in it, that being
yeah,
wound up by them with the celebration and time wasting. All they needed was a draw, didn't they,
yeah,
Swansea? So
yeah. And it didn't help us that because we wanted to get playing again, and it became more of a brawl. And the referee wasn't strong, and the players were getting very frustrated with the ref. And we didn't really create much last 25 minutes, having bossed the middle of the game. And you think, oh damn it, they've got under our skins. They've done exactly what they want to do, and it's worked. And but we just won't give up. So yesterday, 90th minute, corner comes in. Erin Lovett, who is not a penalty area presence going forwards, she's a terrifying penalty area presence in our box, I'm telling you, has a shot. Keeper parries it. And Karen Allen, the captain, who's come off the bench 2 minutes earlier, scores. And then a minute later, she's clearing it off the line because Swansea,
wow.
I mean, 4 minutes of added time, the referee managed to conjure up five and a half. I don't know from where because our celebration was surprisingly short after that goal. Um, and they bombarded us. I'm not saying this trying to exaggerate, but I think their keeper spent probably in the added time almost as much time in our box as in their own because they
Wow.
bombarded us with set pieces. And the other thing to say is that we defended heroically. Then there was clearance off the line, and Lizzie Craven in goal. What a performance that was! She made some wonderful, wonderful saves. Um, but then it's a team. We played some really good football. The week before, we battered them 5-0 and to show what we can do. And then when we're under pressure, the keeper, the defenders stand up to be counted. Yeah, I felt incredibly proud. I was watching it. I didn't know the score, and it was just gone 1 o'clock when Karen Allen scored the winning goal. And
Wow.
apparently, I didn't wake the household up, although I'm quite surprised because I made a lot of noise in my front room. And then realised, I thought, oh, hang on, look at the time, hell's bells. But
Well, I know, Mark, you've taken the women's team under your wing and taken them to your heart this season. And you're doing the commentary, and you've travelled to a few games with the team, and that you're very passionate about the women's team now. And you've only got to look at the Wales team at Wrexham on
yeah,
Tuesday night, and there was like over 8,000 there. Which is a great turnout for women's football in North Wales, and what Wrexham are doing as well up here is great for the women's football up here in the Wrexham area, and they get decent crowds. Wrexham
yeah,
women, more so than the Premier League and the Welsh Men's League. They get bigger crowds, so
yeah,
I applaud what the team have done and what the club have done to set this women's team up and how they're doing so well. And from not achieving what they wanted to do, being that top four with 4 games to go, and then to actually get there must have been like
Yeah.
winning the cup. Fair play to
Unbelievable.
them.
Yeah.
Fair play
Um,
to them.
really fantastic. It really, really is. And the way the fixtures are falling are quite good in a way. Firstly, because we're at home first match, so we don't have to then go down south again. So that's quite pleasing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's
But, but Mark, who's their first game then on Sunday?
the TNS on Sunday,
Oh
so a
wow,
nice derby. We beat them already
very
a
good.
couple of weeks ago, so we can go for it again. Like I say, we got a few injured players from yesterday. I hope they're all right. Lily Jones and Amber Lightfoot, most obviously, but oh, they did so, they did so well. And I've got to also say, I mean, that coaching staff and Steve Dale, the manager, are
Mm-hmm.
excellent. And I say about the resilience of the players, how how must it feel to have a job where your decisions are in public and where you feel you're doing the right things, and because you are, and yet you're still not getting the results. And it must be, you've got the responsibilities of that squad. You've got to keep them going and keep them believing in it. Like I said, you're in public, you're getting judged. It's not a secure job, football management. But they have plugged
We
away,
all know
they've
that.
kept to their principles, and they have come out with a resounding success. Absolutely, they couldn't deserve it more. I'm exceptionally happy. I'm delighted
Yeah,
for everyone to do with the team. It's
I
superb.
can tell by the tone of your voice and the look on your face, Mark. But what were the Wrexham celebrations like then when the final whistle went, Mark?
Um, happy, happy. A couple of, shall we say, I think there were a couple of little points made to one or two opposing players, shall we say. Not too much though. Mostly it was just absolute joy. And they earned it.
Yeah.
They
Mm-hmm.
absolutely earned it. It was awesome. It really was. It's why you follow football to see that sort of thing
Oh,
happen. But quite
exactly. Totally. Totally.
apart from
That's
just
what football's all
yeah,
about, Mark. That last minute winning. We can all go back to the Dover game at Wrexham, where we were doomed
yeah,
5-2 down.
yeah, exactly.
And then they
But I
come
mean,
back and
to,
that's what football's about.
to do it over the course of the weeks as well and defy the odds like that, this is
Yeah.
this is fabulous, honestly. Ah, happy days. Well,
And obviously we're still in the semi-final of the cup as well against Pontypridd at some point. Or
yes, that's right.
Pontypool.
That's it.
Pontypridd.
Pontypridd, yeah, that's right. So who knows? Let's do the double, shall we? Hey. Yeah, well, let's look back to an earlier time. Late 80s, a top keeper for us, Mike Salmon, came in and really did a fine job for us over 3 seasons, culminating in a run into the final of the playoffs in what used to be the fourth division. So let's have a listen now to what Mike is up to now and his memories of the racecourse. Well, I am thrilled to be joined by Mike Salmon, who those of you watching on video can see he's right in the middle of the Rockies, scooping those delicious. I was going to say salmon out with your bear-like hands, and I remember that's your name, and I'm sounding like I'm making a bad pun. It wasn't intended. It's fantastic to speak to you, Mike.
Oh, it's just great to be here. Like I say, especially with the resurgence of
Mm.
Wrexham in recent years. It's great to reminisce about a great club that's hopefully coming back to great times again. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Well, I mean, you were a terrific servant for us. You played over 3 seasons for us. Well, maybe going back a little bit further, I'm going to say when I've been looking back, I mean, you you answered our prayers when you came to us anyway, because you were at last the stable goalkeeper that we needed. And so obviously I've looked back and reminded my refresher memory, but the main thing that I recalled anyway was that before you came, we had an amazing run of goalkeeper injuries and all sorts of different things. You were the sixth goalkeeper to play for us that season. You came to us in March on loan. Um, and I saw we in the 5 years since Edin Nedvetsky went to Chelsea, we had 19 keepers. You were the guy who came in, and oh, it was nice. because you brought stability, quality, and continuity even in goal. You had 2.5 seasons, and it was important for us. You'd been well established in other clubs by then, though, hadn't you? And yet it looked like maybe the move to Wrexham came at a good time for you as well.
It was perfect for me, actually. I mean, when I got my breakthrough, really, when I left Blackburn as a young player and went to Stockport, and for 2.5 years, I never missed a game. So I'd got, at a very early age, I think at the age of 21, I got over 100 league games under my belt. And then I got a really nasty injury in the January, and I can't remember it might have been 85. And that kept me, as bad knee injury, cruciate ligament injury. And that kept me out for the rest of the season. I think I played one reserve game, but I wasn't right. I wasn't fit. They didn't really know how to get me right neither. So by a stroke of genius, I ended up going to Bolton Wanderers. And I don't know how it happened because I wasn't fit. I shouldn't really have gone. But I went, and I played maybe half the season there, but I couldn't get fit. I couldn't get my sharpness back. And just as I was getting back getting to the level that I thought I was capable of reaching, the manager already made his mind up that I wasn't the keeper for him, so he went and got another keeper. So that's why the door opened for me at Wrexham. So you're absolutely right. It was a perfect time for me to go to a place where, and as a lone player, you kind of treated a little bit differently. You kind of loved and cherished a little bit more because obviously you're doing the club a little bit of a favour. They didn't realise they were doing me a favour. So I was so grateful that move came about.
I'm glad to hear that they treated you right, because I think by that point lone goalkeepers were a bit like drummers for Spinal Tap. They were all they dropped like flies for us. So it was a delight that you came in and you steadied things immediately. The results really improved with you in goal as well. We sort of made it was too late maybe, but we made a little bit of a push for the playoffs. But it was, that season you made a big difference. And then, of course, you stayed in the summer. Wrexham, I mean, in those days, really digging down the back of the sofa to find any money. But we made sure that we got you permanently.
That's right. I was grateful for Dixie for that. I mean, one of the things about playing for Wrexham is it was a backdoor for getting into Europe. So that was always in the back of my mind as well, So it was a chance to possibly play in Europe. So the thought of that was so exciting. And they had some great players there as well. I mean, in the period I was there as a lone player, I mean, Barry Horn was in the team, a very, very good player, great career, They had some really good characters there. Jim Steele up front, some fantastic characters and players that, I remember for the rest of my life. Just great to be around, so it was a good period for me as well. So I really enjoyed that loan spell, and it was a kind of no-brainer for me to sign permanently. So, yeah.
Oh, Jim, you're preaching to the choir with Jim Steele. I've always told everybody he was my favourite childhood player. Just enjoyed the fact that he would just knock 7 bells out of the centre backs, but was good on the forward as well. To be fair,
well, you got the ball up to him and the ball stuck, so he gave you a chance to get your team up the field. And he had a nose for a goal. The only thing about Jim was his dress sense wasn't so great, so the guys used to give him a bit of stick about that. I remember one time on bonfire night, we were out training. When we came back, all the guys that were injured had got his clothes and stuffed them with old kit and put penny for the guy on them. so Jim wasn't too chuffed when he saw that propped up in the corner looking for his clothes.
That's beautiful. I was going to mention some of the characters later on, but I know that summer that you arrived, Jeff Hunter arrived as well, and I hear all different daft stories about him. But I don't know.
I've got one story for Jeff. I've got one story about Jeff, and it was actually because I played with Jeff at Stockport, and we got a new manager in called Colin Murphy, who was very direct with the way he talked and the way he played football. So he wanted athletic players, and one thing Jeff wasn't was athletic. He was a great footballer, great feet. Give him the ball and he'd put it on a sixpence, but running around the field and closing down wasn't his strength. And Colin Murphy said to Jeff after one training session, he went, "You remind me so much of my son, Jeff." And Jeff said, "Well, was he a talented player? Was he?" He went, "No, he's a lazy little git." Yeah, Jeff is a legend in the game, Jeff.
Yeah, the two stories that stick in my head about Hunter are Mark Morris told me that you guys went running and training down Erddig, and Hunter ran ahead of everyone else, and everyone thought, why? Because, like you said, he wasn't a runner. And then as he came round the tree line, he jumped out from nowhere naked. I was like, what? So,
Yeah, it sounds like Jeff.
yeah. Although I've got to say, the other story I've been told by his teammates that sticks in my head as well is him at Halifax. Had a bad tackle on him, carried on playing, and then at half time just sat in the changing room, took his boot off, poured like half a pint of blood out of his boot, put it back on, didn't say a word. And I was admired that him and Bowden coming at the same time. They gave our midfield a bit of something extra, a bit of creativity, but also a bit of fire as well.
For sure.
That helped that team that season.
Yeah, and they were both big characters on and off the field, and you need that in a dressing rooms. And there was lots of those characters in there. Later on, we got Joey Jones there, and Joey's just a legend. I can speak all day about Joey. I just absolutely love the guy. So people like him that came in the dressing room were just fantastic. So lots of experience, and just kept the place buoyant all the time, which was, you need that when you're working with players day to day. You need that.
I mean, it's lovely. No matter who I speak to from whatever era, if Joey's mentioned, everybody's so full of respect for him. I was chatting to a player who played for us, about 6-7 years ago yesterday, Tumba Masanka, and the moment we mentioned Joey, his eyes light up. Everybody loves him, and the way he helped young players through after he finished playing as well. But his standards and his commitments were the same no matter what, were they? Any game, any level.
And he was great for me as well. He kept me on my toes, kept me focused in the game, kept trying to G me up. But he's just such a humble guy. That's the thing about Joey. You think of everything he's achieved in the game, but you'd never know it. You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know where he's been and what he's done. But he's just, the guy's a legend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, other players coming in at that time. Brian Flynn came in while you were there.
Yeah, for sure.
He would go on to be a manager for donkey's years for us, and there were some real experienced people in that changing room, weren't there?
Yeah, and Flinney again, and you understand, to be as small as Flinney is and have a career that he's had, it tells you how much quality he had on the ball. And again, another player, you get the ball to his feet and he could put it anywhere he wanted. Just such a talented player. He's one step ahead of everybody else. People talk about the quickest yard is the one in your head. Well, yeah. Flinney had two of those. He was ahead of everybody else in terms of how quickly he saw the game. So again, great character, great player. And
as a manager, he was really innovative tactically. Once he became a manager as well, he was fascinating to watch. Everyone else is 4-4-2, and we were playing some really sort of fun formations. Now people give names to split strikers, but then it wasn't. People really had the phrase of it, but he was ahead of the game tactically, I think, as well.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, but a good thing, and that's what happened. I think that's what happened with players that have never relied on pace and strength. They have to think about this. They know the game inside out, so they read the game very well, and they're usually the ones, in my opinion, that become good managers, good coaches.
Yeah, I got to say as well, you in that first full season for us. I mean, it didn't go all that well for the team, but it's sometimes good to be a busy goalkeeper, isn't it? Because I think it really established very clearly your value to us. There was a comment on one of the programs which went along with how I recall it, which essentially was that if it wasn't for you, we'd have been down with Newport, who had terrible problems off the pitch and were finishing bottom, but you kept us afloat. So you were busy, but I guess that's gratifying in some ways for a keeper, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was always a proactive keeper anyway, so I wasn't reactive. So my philosophy in goalkeeping was, if I can stop the cross, if I can come and catch a cross or come and get a through ball, they can't get a shot on goal. So the shot for me was the last resort. So I wanted to stop the team from shooting, So I tried to come and catch as many crosses as possible. I tried to be on my front foot and deal with the balls over the top of the back four. And ultimately, defenders like that anyway, because you're doing their job for them, So as long as I gave them a shout and they knew where I was, they'd love that, because then they could either cover behind me or they block the runs of the strikers if I'm coming for the cross. So yeah, that was what I tried to do. Not always successfully, but that's what I tried to do.
And for people who hadn't seen Mike play, I should point out, if you're watching it on the video, I mean, those mountains are right behind him. He is roughly the size of those mountains. And this guy was big, you know. I mean, the physique to come into the traffic and deal with things in the air as well. Um, I've got to tell you, and don't worry, this is no criticism of you. Uh, uh, the greatest own goal I've ever seen was scored past you by Darren
Yes,
at Crewe.
yes.
And it was I was on your way end, I was right behind it, and I just remember looking at it and thinking, what is happening? He was running back down the channel, just outside the box. You could pick back passes up then, of course. You've gone outside your near post, doing everything correctly, so that he can just give a simple short 15 yards, roll it along the floor pass. And if something awful happened, it would only be a corner. And I remember it so clearly. He looked up, he saw where you were, and then he curled it in the far top corner. It was a hell of a finish, especially it was on his weaker foot, if I remember correctly, as well, because he was a right-footed left back, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But it must feel great when when you can see their own goal of that quality in a derby match.
Well, it's not the first time. I mean, I was beaten when I was at Bolton. Asa Hartford beat me with a volley from the edge of the box. He tried to clear it and shanked it in the top corner. So he's among good names there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a hell of a player. He's a Hartford, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, fair play to Darren. I've had him on this, and I've reminded him of it. Bless him, he's got a sense of humour about it. But yeah, that season, the big highlights of it for me that I recall were that Wolves. We did the double over Wolves. We won 2-0 at Molineux. We won 4-0 late in the season at the racecourse. Oh, I mean,
yeah.
And that was
and they had Steve Bull, Andy Munch up front. So they had good players there then. That was a forward line that anybody probably in a couple of leagues higher up would have wanted that forward line. So yeah, to beat them was nice.
Well, a couple of years later, Bull's at the World Cup. So that shows his quality, doesn't it?
That's right. Yes, for sure. Yeah. No, what a record, what a goal scoring record that guy had. So to keep him quiet and to win those games was great. And Molineux was one of those grounds where it was. I'd say it's a little bit like probably what Man United are going through at the moment. So if you go there and keep the crowd quiet for 20 minutes, you know they're going to get on the backs, and that's what happens. Big ground, big stadium. Lots of history. And they expect better, and as soon as they're not getting it, then you're rattling them, and then you've got a chance, So yeah, it was a great place to go to.
And I remember that the atmosphere at the racecourse being absolutely buzzing. My recollection was it was a good crowd, and the fans could see early on that we were in a position to bloody their noses. And then of course, the player I haven't mentioned who came in that summer as well, Kevin Russell. I mean, very, very, very difficult to contain him, wasn't it, when he was on?
I mean, what a runner he was, and he had a nose for a goal as well. But he was one of those players who would turn a bad ball into a good ball. He just chased everything down. He always knew where he was going to be. So as soon as we got our midfield players turned, John Bolton and Jeff Hunter, they know that Kevin would be running in behind. So he was a great outlet for the team for sure, and went on to have a really good, successful career as well after leaving Wrexham. I think he left the same time as me. I'm not sure, but I think he left the same time as I did. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. Although my recollection of it was I felt a little sorry for him because the playoffs at the end of that season, carrying an injury. And he still pushed through and scored in the playoffs, but moving straight on, his pace was maybe affected slightly by it, but he was such an intelligent player, he turned himself into a different type of player. He came back to us and gave us fantastic service as a midfielder. Because he wasn't just one of those quick strikers who could just run and time a run. He was a quick striker.
He was smart. He was a smart player. Yeah, for sure.
Something as well that speaking to as a goalkeeper, the way he would finish. I can't help feeling you wouldn't have got many past you in training, because the thing he tended to do, I thought, he'd worked out that 4th division goalkeepers generally won't stand up if you're one-on-one with them. And he was so quick. He'd get one-on-one a loss. He was so quick at the ball at his feet or just running. And once he got in that position, he knew that if he didn't hurry to finish, chances are that the goalie's going to commit. And he scored so many goals smashing it in the roof of the net. Now, my recollection is that you were a goalkeeper who was good enough to not commit. So
I used to stand.
They hated you in training.
Well, he certainly scored plenty of goals in training against me and against Mark and all the other keepers. But that was one thing that was drilled in me as a young keeper. When I was at Blackburn Rovers by Terry Geno and some of the old guard there. Jim Arnold was a goalkeeper there at the time as well, about staying as big as possible for as long as possible. And again, I think that's true as much today as it was then. So you don't have to commit. Trust your instincts. Make them beat you. There's nothing worse than diving early in the ball going exactly where you've just come from. I used to hate that. So yeah, that was one of the things that I still believe is the right thing to do these days.
I'm going to force myself to change the subject because I'm a failed goalkeeper, and I could talk to you about that all day and about how the whole Schmeichel handball starfish goalkeeper thing has revolutionized goalkeeping, but not if you use it at the wrong time.
Yes, for sure.
It makes you look like an idiot.
Yes, yeah.
We nearly scored on Saturday at Northampton because the keeper chose to do that directly from a corner when nobody was attacking it. I was like, and so surprise, surprise, the corner hit the post, and fortunately for him, bounced out rather than in. But it was just like, why you got that in your head to do that when the ball's going across you and no one's attacking it?
There's a time and a place,
exactly.
There's a time and a place for sure.
I've told you I need to change the subject. I'm going to say one more thing about it, which is that when Schmeichel first started doing it, using my dodgy goalie's eye, I used to watch Match of the Day every week and say to my dad, why does no one put her under him? When he's doing that, he's making it so difficult for people to hit the corners. But once his legs are out like that, he can't. Only gravity can bring him down. He can't really control that. Stick it under him. And I
think what happened as well was teams, obviously with every game is filmed, every game's analysed. So teams work out, players work out, and eventually he had to adapt as well. Otherwise, they just take the ball around and they slide it through his legs. There's lots of things. I mean, the thing about Peter Schmeichel was, and I loved him, I thought he was a fantastic top goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. He was a big guy and very, very aggressive. So he did put the fear of God in strikers for sure. But once they worked out, then he had to adapt as well. Everybody has to. You adapt or die, simple as that. So,
well, one of my proudest moments as a fan of Wrexham was that the first player I saw actually do that to him was a Wrexham player. We drew them in the
fantastic,
cup, and it was Kieran Durkin who was one-on-one with him, and Schmeichel came out aggressively, did all that, made himself big, and Durkin, just cool as you like, just passed it underneath him. And it was the opening goal of the game as well. And so, you can imagine, I was there at the away end going, thinking, football doesn't get any better than this. And I was right, sadly.
Yeah. Well, it's getting better for you now, that's for sure.
I've got no complaints now, I can assure you. Absolutely. And just going back as well, I mean, you played in a Welsh Cup final at the end of that first full season at Swansea. Usual Welsh FA, neutral venue, Wrexham against Cardiff, Swansea, obviously.
That was a strange one.
Yeah, it's a regular one, to be perfectly frank with you.
Is it? Okay, it was new for me.
Yeah, can't wait to see the Wrexham women have got to the semi-final against Pontypridd, and I just can't wait to see which neutral venue. I suspect Great End. But anyway, the following season, well, firstly, I mean, you are on the winning side in a derby at Chester, which almost automatically means you should have a statue in the city centre anyway.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Yeah, it's unusual.
And that, I mean, maybe it wasn't the full ferocious experience because it was in the Associate Members Cup, which still has the same sort of reputation if you take it seriously later on. I mean, we're in the semi-finals of it now, but we haven't yet picked a full-strength team. But it's still a win at Chester is a win at Chester. I mean, you've got to be commended for that.
Absolutely, yeah. And we certainly knew the importance of that game going into it, regardless of what the competition was. So a game against Chester, there's no such thing as a friendly against Chester. So yeah, it was great to beat them. So yeah.
Again, no matter what generation, Joey Jones will have made it clear that everyone understood you must beat Chester.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, we do get to the playoffs. So again, Kevin Russell scoring a lot of goals. And we like I said, I think we were a bit more of a complete team than the season before. And semi-final, we demolished Scunthorpe, really. 3-up in no time in the home leg, win 2-0 in the away leg as well.
Yes, I remember the first game. Distinctly because I made an absolute howler on the first goal. So I came for a cross, misread it, and it went in. So that wasn't great. But I I did manage to recover from that quite well, and I got myself back together and started coming for the crosses, and got myself back into the game, and the team went on and did the job for me. So that was really good. I enjoyed that game in the end.
And the clean sheet at Scunthorpe for you as well in their brand spanking new stadium.
Yeah, that was actually a really good performance, that, because obviously we were expected to be under the cosh, and we were for quite a bit of that game. But we withheld it for I think I can't remember what the score was at half time, but I remember we were doing really well, and we did enough to get over the line in that game, sure, and we deserved it as well. On the two games, we were the much better team.
Yeah, 100%. In fact, that second game, I put it up in its entirety on Wrexham's YouTube channel. So, if you fancy reminiscing the whole game,
okay.
And the authentic muddiness of the pitch. But then the final, and again, this is the year before they take the playoff finals to Wembley, so we don't get a chance to play at Wembley against Orient. And that was galling. Yeah, I mean, the first game, 0-0. Everyone still moans about Neil Salathiel missing a header. I mean, to be fair, Neil Salathiel scored 3 goals in his career. Two of them, if I remember correctly, in one of your early matches at Southend, where he just hits 2 screamers. Yeah. But he scored in one of a game in his entire career. So I think it's a bit harsh blaming him for that.
Yeah, I think we put ourselves behind the 8 ball after the first game, to be honest. If we could have got a goal or 2 in that one, then I think it would have been a different second leg. It was always going to be tough going there. They were a strong team. Good forward line. And I remember you're right about Kevin having an injury leading into that game. I actually had an injury as well. I didn't go. You might not remember. I didn't go out and do a warm up that day, so I just went straight out. Played the game because I didn't want to aggravate an injury I had. I think on my right knee or something. I can't remember exactly, but there was a couple of us carrying injuries. But we made a game of it, and we were close, but never really did enough, I don't think, over the 90 minutes to win that game, which was disappointing, But I think the damage was probably done in the first game.
Yeah, it's something which has always really wound me up about the second game is that, and it's been admitted, it's in print now, that they made it an early kickoff, which obviously made it difficult for Wrexham fans to get down there, purely because they wanted Alan Comfort to play because he was getting married that afternoon in Ireland. And but the way they did that was to evoke Hillsborough, which had just happened, which left a very bad taste in the mouth, really, when they and found that out. It's frustrating, and certainly gave them an advantage because A, Comfort could play, and B, difficult for the fans to get down there. But it was a shame, and of course, you moved on that summer as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate. I didn't know where I was going, but I felt like I would be going somewhere. Charlton were watching me in the stand. Been watching me for a while. I thought Joey told me I was going to Man City at one point. That didn't happen for whatever reason. That was just before deadline day, I think. I can't remember who they went and got instead. I think it might have been Paul Cooper. They went from a really experienced guy at the time. So I thought I was going to be moving, but I didn't know where. And in the end, it was Charlton that came in for me. So, they were in the old first division then. So I had to go. It was like, I felt like I'd served my time in the lower leagues and I was ready for stepping up.
Yeah.
So, Wrexham got a little bit of money for me, more than they paid for me, so that was a bonus. So I had to go. It was, I couldn't turn that down.
Yeah.
And I had 10 years there, so.
But I've got to ask, because I was looking through this afternoon some of the old programs, and this absolute beauty has got the best player profile of all time by you.
Yeah, don't read some of them out. I'll get cancelled straight away.
No, it's all perfectly appropriate. It's just hilarious.
Is it?
And so the question I've got to ask, seeing as you then moved down to London, is you were asked if you win 50,000 on the pools, how do you spend it? And you said you'd buy a garden shed in central London. So how was the shed?
There wasn't much. Yeah. Do you know what? It was probably not per square foot, probably much different than a garden shed. Yeah, my eyes really popped out when I saw the prices of things and I actually went down there and tried to buy something. Yeah, frightening.
No, No, don't worry. It's I'll have to send you a picture of it. It's all good stuff. I'm glad to see you
I've
never had a
put,
bad game at the Camp Nou as well in Barcelona. Well done. The And you've moved on now, of course, to Canada.
yeah.
Coaching. It's
Yes.
fantastic. I mean, Vancouver, what a lovely place to live. Brilliant, brilliant for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was very fortunate. When I retired, I finished playing at like 38. So I had a really long career, So I was very fortunate for that. But I was even more fortunate when I stepped into coaching. That one of the Wrexham old boys, Eddie Niedzwecki, gave me a call. He was at Arsenal, so he knew I was down my pathway to get my coaching licenses. I was working at Gillingham with one of the keepers there who was doing quite well. So he asked me to go to Arsenal. So I went to Arsenal and coached the goalkeepers there for 5 years. And that was just an incredible experience. I probably learned more there in 5 years than anywhere else. It was an incredible place to see youth development at the highest level. And at a time when they were really successful as well. So, that was the time when they went undefeated in the Premier League. They went to a Champions League final. So I managed to see all of that. That was incredible. Yeah. And then on the back of that, Vancouver Whitecaps came out there to have a look at the training facility at Wrexham. And I got the contact through that. So I'd already put my immigration papers in to go to Vancouver. And in that process, they came and a look at the stadium and then everything else at Wrexham, at Arsenal. And that's how I got the connection with Vancouver Whitecaps. So I went and worked for them for a while. I worked for the Canadian men's and women's national team while I've been here, and I'm currently working for the provincial association, which is BC Soccer Association. So still got my eye in, still doing a bit of coaching, still trying to shape the game as best as I can. It's a bit different here. Yeah. I mean, I knew it was going to be a little bit of a step down, but I didn't realize how big of a step down in terms of infrastructure and general, the quality of the game and everything over is a little bit different, and but it's getting better. And we've got a World Cup coming in next year, so that's going to be exciting. So it's good to be on the back of that as well. So we'll be interested to see if the game does take us, a bigger step after that, and if there's going to be much legacy from that. So hopefully there will be.
And of course, I'd imagine that all of a sudden Wrexham are the big talking points in British Columbia, aren't we? With our Canadian owner who.
They're a talking point all over the world. Yeah, they're a talking point all over. I actually couldn't get a ticket. You believe he came and played in Vancouver? I couldn't get a ticket. It was sold out. My daughter managed to get a ticket only because she knew somebody who worked in the stadium. That was the only way we could get, one of the Salmon family could get in that game.
Wow. That's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah, I know when we went to Chelsea on that tour that it was a crowd of something around 50,000, and it was apparently slightly more Wrexham than Chelsea, which...
Yes, I mean, I think it was. Yeah.
Just when I say that sentence, I feel confused. You know what I mean? It's so astonishing, but
it's fantastic. Yeah,
I mean,
see the profile of the club and the the love for the town and everything and what it's done for the whole region is just amazing. It's great to see.
And we have so many supporters as well from the States and from Canada who really enjoy anything like this as well. Just not only hearing about the club's past, but also seeing links to North America as well. And it's lovely to be able to make that connection. You get lots of fantastic supporters because it shows about community who do what you just said. They want to contribute to Wrexham as a community. They do fantastic charity work. The Ask Wrexham group, they're fantastic, and they it's life affirming having this happen.
Yes,
out of the blue. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it is fantastic, and I think that the way they've gone about it has been brilliant. They've been so upfront with everything, and they've done basically what Jurgen Klopp did at Liverpool. He got to the core of what being a Scouser is about, and they've done the same thing in terms of what it means to the town and what it means to the people of Wrexham, and you've got to commend them for that. So it's just great seeing that upward trend.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you did your best to be part of an upward trend when you were playing for us as well. It's audience we got to blame for this. It's not that I got a grudge after they beat us last Tuesday. But Mike, I can only say, it was an honour to watch you. And when I first started commentating, you were our keeper. You were always a favourite player for mine. And it's an honour to catch up with you now, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us. That was brilliant.
Well, appreciate it, Mark. Thanks for having me on, and anytime. Yeah. Always a pleasure.
Oh, Mike Salmon did a terrific job for Wrexham under Dixie McNeil, and it's great to hear from him again, and a right character as well. He was really, really fun to catch up with. What a good bloke. We had a lot of goalkeepers before him, Neil, as we said in the interview, and he finally came in and was the stable, safe pair of hands that we needed. It's amazing when you think back to then. What was it? He was the sixth goalkeeper we had that season, and the
Wow.
20th in 3 seasons. Eddie Niedzwiecki left, and then we just
he
kept
went to
having,
Chelsea, didn't he?
yeah, and then we just had loads of loan players. Some only played for one game. It was incredible. Di Davis came out of retirement, played in the
He did.
Welsh Cup. Chris Pearce came in, looked like he was the solution, had a bad back and only lasted half a season. Salmon was
Didn't
fine.
Dibble come in as well?
Dibble. No,
Dibble came in.
he was much later, wasn't he? He was 2002, 2003. He was a veteran by that stage. Sorry?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They but yeah, we had loads of keepers coming in. Grenville Millington, Ronnie Sinclair, John Vaughan, Dave Powell. Ah, happy days. Ian Haig. Ah, Mike Keane. Mike Keane. I was second choice to him for a bit as Wrexham schoolboys. Then he went off and started playing for Wrexham. I was like, wow, okay, fair enough. But Salmon was the man who came in and brought us stability. And you think of those days, like I say, 6 keepers in that season, 20 odd in 2.5 years, 3 years between Niedzwiecki leaving and Salmon arriving. It really shows that we've got an embarrassment of riches now in goal. Even when we get injury crises, we've got an awful lot of good choices. It's nice to see. I mean, the season after Salmon,
we've got stability.
the season after Salmon left is, of course, the season that ultimately Dixie leaves because we're forced to carry our own baggage through London to get to a match against Maidstone. We don't have that problem anymore now, thank goodness. It's a crazy life, isn't it, being a Wrexham fan?
Now they fly down.
Yeah.
It is now, yeah.
Exactly so.
And it was
Exactly.
then as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Neil, it's always a pleasure catching up with you.
Yeah, look forward to the game on Saturday, Mark, against Bolton. Unfortunately, it's a bit of an early start because it's 12:30 kickoff.
Yeah, I forgot all about that until a couple of days ago. That has been fun. I rolled up at 1 o'clock and found that the game was on.
I bet that happened a few times. I bet you.
Yeah. And then Sunday, phase 2, top half, championship half of the Adran Premier. How sweet it is.
Stick that in your pipe, Swansea. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't possibly dream of saying that.
Or Welsh FA or whatever.
Yeah, Adran League. Yeah, take your pick. Nice one. Right. It was a pleasure, Neil. Thank you so much as always. Yeah.
Always is, Mark. Thank you.
Brilliant. This has been Final Whistle Weekly.